Silver just did something very few assets ever do. It broke the paper market. And when that happens, it tells you something important. Price was never the real control mechanism. What caught my attention is XRP is now walking into a very familiar phase, not just in price, but in structure. This isn't about moon targets or hype. It's about what happens when assets stop being optional and become necessary. Let's look at what silver's managed to do. Let's see what XRP can do. Welcome to our show. Every single morning we are live, whether you're watching this live as a video or watching later on. Please do make sure you have hit that like button and subscribe. In today's video, we'll be exploring the match of silver and XRP. Silver going absolutely parabolic. We bought silver at $20. We bought XRP at 30 cents. Silver has had its big parabolic run up 176% this year, and it's an asset with a much larger market cap. We are looking to see if XRP will be next. We are going to reflect on 2025 and look into 2026. Thank you everyone for tuning in. As always, let's go over to our very own newsletter. If you haven't got the newsletter yet, this is where we get all of our information. We are looking at two major stories here. Silver, is XRP next? Well, let's get into it. If you haven't got the newsletter, it's the first link in the description. It's in the live chat as well. You get the XRP weekly newsletter every single week. You can stay on top of the XRP news, and also every single day you get the daily newsletter. You can stay up to date with the XRP news, the macro news, the stock news, the deep dives, the charts, all of that. So go and check out the newsletter. If you want the premium version, there is a 1-week free trial. Okay, so we put this out yesterday. Sunday the 28th of December, all about XRP. Firstly, I want to wish everyone, I hope everyone had an amazing Christmas. I feel like 2026 is going to be a good year, even though the markets might be going down. There's always a bull market anywhere, and we can navigate the markets together. But more importantly, I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas and spent it with their family and their loved ones. So yeah, I wanted to wish everyone that first. Now let's come on to that news that came out yesterday in our newsletter. We were reflecting on 2025. What an amazing year for Ripple. What an amazing year for XRP. The people that were just here for an overnight gain, the people that were here to see $1,000 XRP by the end of the year, $100 XRP by the end of the year, $50 XRP by the end of the year, they're probably disappointed. They're probably selling, and they probably won't be back, and they'll miss out on what I think will happen in the future, where we'll ultimately hit those goals of $10, $20, $50. We don't need to shoot for the moon. Even $10 is a 5x, $20, 10x, $50. You can very, very sizable gains, even if you're not shooting for the moon. And all those moon boys, all those YouTubers, they've lost all their credibility, and people will still watch them because they'll go for the clicks, but we're still here giving you the real news. So let's reflect on 2025 because it's been an amazing year. And let's look into 2026 for XRP. Let's tie that in with silver, because silver is actually quite a familiar story. Remember about 2 years ago, or I've been saying this constantly, I always say Bitcoin's like gold, silver's like XRP. Silver is like an altcoin. Silver and XRP both have immense utility that you can't ignore. Right now, the silver market is insane. We're going to come on to that in a second. It's absolutely insane. There's premiums. They're running out of silver. They need silver. It's not just like gold because people want to buy it because it's a hedge against inflation, or it's a safe asset. It's a flight to risk. Silver is needed. Solar panels need silver. AI needs silver. Electricity grids need silver, and they're running out of silver. China is stopping any silver being exported. Silver has real utility. Gold doesn't really have real utility. Yes, tiny bit in chips, very, very small amounts, but 99% of it is because of a store of value. People buy it as either jewelry or a store of value. Bitcoin's sort of similar. There's not really any utility in silver. It's very much just buy it because sorry, there's no much utility in Bitcoin. There's just buy it because everyone's buying it, and it might be a store against a hedge against inflation and a store of value, and it might be digital gold. That's what Bitcoin's is, and that's why I'm not too interested in Bitcoin. Actually, I prefer gold because it has a little bit of utility and it's been there for a while. XRP's like silver. There is immense utility, We're running out of it, fixed supply, and the world might not be able to ignore it any longer. So let's dive into that and see what 2025 did for XRP, go on to the silver story and tie it all back together. So if you have just tuned in, please do hit that like button. Please do subscribe. So Ripple, this is our XRP weekly newsletter. I'm going to start off by the chart because I know a lot of you are worried about the chart and we're down and down and down and how much more can we take it? Unfortunately, this is something we said is quite a possibility even 3 months ago. Even at the top, we said there's a possible double top. I sold 20% of my position at all-time highs, not because I thought it wouldn't go any higher, but because I thought the risk to reward is reducing and there is a possibility of a double top. That's what we got. So let's just look at it in the very short term. There could be a bounce. So I'm not selling. Everyone's bearish. That probably means we're going to have a bounce. Also, if you look at the technicals on this chart right here, you see this downward sloping resistance line. Over here, there can be a little breakout. If we stay above that trend line, and then we can suddenly get short squeeze back up to $2. If we break $2.30, we can be at all-time highs in 3 months if we really wanted to be. Again, I'm not here to predict the future. I'm here to navigate the market, control my emotions, know where I want to buy, not panic not panic sell, not panic buy, not FOMO, none of that. I want to control my emotions. How do I do that? Well, it's with the charts. If you want to learn about charts, sign up to newsletter and you can get your training course coming very soon. So in the short term, the assets remain within a clear downtrend. You can see the downtrend is undeniable. Defined by a sequence of lower highs, lower lows. Price continues to face rejection at the descending trend line, reinforcing current bearish momentum. Market participants are watching closely for a defensive break above the white downward sloping trend line, which would signal a potential shift in momentum. That's the trend line that we keep getting rejected by. If we stay above it, we hold that 185 and we stay above that trend line, we can have quite an explosive move towards the upside. Up to $2, maybe test that resistance and make a lower high. Or also, if the momentum is strong, we can squeeze the shorts at $2 and head back up to $2.30, potentially $2.60 after that. So a sustained breakout above this level, a sustained breakout above this level would suggest that the local bottom may be forming, opening the door to an initial move towards $2 resistance. If momentum follows through, an extension towards $2.30 becomes a possibility. However, obviously, there's two sides, so I can't just say we're going to go up. There is the chance that and this is why I have the levels to protect my emotion. If we break below 185, we can fall lower. We can be in a bear market. We can be in a strong bear market. We can go to $1.71. That's the next level I'm looking at. Or we might double bottom at 179 on this chart. If you look at that bottom over there, it could be at 179, or it can be at 171 as well. The idea is not to know exactly where we're going. I have my own strategy. What's your strategy? Have you written down your strategy? My strategy is I'm invested. I'm in my spot portfolio in the one in my ledger. I'm 80% invested. I took 20% profits. And what am I looking to do? Well, very simple strategy for my long term. I buy at 4 or 5 key levels, which I'm giving to you right now. 4 or 5 key levels, I buy. If we go above certain levels, I've got my take profit levels as well. They haven't really changed. Yes, I've got 20% of my portfolio, which I like to trade with. We made very, very good trades throughout the year. Let's reflect on them as well. So let's look at the longer term XRP chart. Remember, we're just looking at XRP chart right now because I know a lot of you want to see my thoughts on the XRP chart before the year ends, and then we'll come on to the silver story as well. So this is the long term XRP chart. This is actually a chart dating back to October of last year. So you can see that breakout in December with that blue line over there. Then you had that major breakout over at the blue arrow over here, and then where we are right now with the yellow arrow. So quite a year it's been. If you actually look from January, if you're looking at year to date, we're actually down on XRP. But if you take it back one more month and go to November of 2024, we're up about 200%. So let me answer the questions that I've been receiving. So I've been receiving a lot of questions recently about XRP entry points, so it's worth revisiting how this cycle has been approached and why levels matter more than narratives. Back in late 2024, I called the breakout at 40 cents. We bought it at 30 cents. We called the breakout live on the show. Go check the videos at 40 cents, which played out. We also highlighted the risk of a double top near $3.45. the major double top, and then also the actual double top at 365. So later discussing the 365 as a potential exhaustion zone. That was another double top. These were always presented as risk scenarios. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say yes. I 100% said that's the top, but it's a point where I took 20% profits. It's a point that the risk reward was really not worth it at that point. That's I never ever said anyone should buy XRP at those levels. I don't give financial advice, but I was very, very worried for anyone who was buying XRP at those points. Anyway, these were always presented as risk scenarios, not certainties. On the way up, the $2 level was traded repeatedly for short-term opportunities. Yes, 80% of my portfolio is long-term, but I can't resist when a level was so strong and how much money we made at $2 every time it hit $2. Long position, sold at 230, sold at 250, another $2, sold at 230, 240, 260, $3. That $2 level, and that 20% of my portfolio is how I made a lot of profits during this bull market with XRP. And most of my long-term bag I'm still holding. I'm still up 200% on it, but that $2 level let me realize some of those gains. So now let's talk about my strategy, which is my long-term portfolio, which is ultimately, in my opinion, going to make me more money than my short-term portfolio, is the key levels I want to buy. Very simple strategy. I'm in. I always want to be in. I'm an investor. I'm looking long-term. I'm in. What do? Well, at certain levels I buy. I don't buy every 1% it goes down, every 0.5% it goes down or every 5% it goes down, because you run out of money very quickly, and then you can't be able to exercise the opportunity that will present itself in a bear market. If you're new to crypto, XRP can drop 80%, it can drop 50%, it can drop 90%. It's crypto, it can drop, and you want to take advantage of that. We took advantage of it on the liquidation. Remember October the 11th, when on that Friday, XRP dropped 50% on some exchanges, 70% on other exchanges. That was quick money to be made. Anyway, the levels I'm buying: 175, 135, 107, 77, 57. 77 cents, 57 cents. I'm buying at all those levels. They're not 20 levels, they're not 100 levels, I'm not buying every 5%. Those are the levels I'll buy. Does that mean every single one of those levels will be hit? Maybe none of them will be hit. Maybe all of them will be hit. I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. I don't actually expect all of them to be hit, but I want to be prepared for all scenarios. So I don't expect all these levels to be hit, and I still view a move below 70 cents as unlikely. Very unlikely. There is also a meaningful probability, but there is also a meaningful probability that we go towards 150. 150 is pretty reasonable. If you think we can't go to 150, you might be a little bit delusional. We can go to 150. Again, it's not guaranteed, but 150 is very possible, especially if we're in a bear market or in a crypto winter. So, importantly, I don't buy every 5% dip. Patience matters in a sustained downtrend. When sentiment turns extremely bearish, we often see short squeezes and violent counter trend moves. That's why the descending trend line remains critical. What trend line am I talking about? This trend line over here. It is a sharp trend line. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. At some point, it will break. Whether it's today, tomorrow, next month, we will see a break of that trend line, and it will probably result in some sort of explosive, at least short-term move towards the upside. If price, sorry, where were we? Yeah, when sentiment turns extremely bearish, we often see short squeezes and violent counter trend moves. That's why the descending trend line remains critical. If price base is around 180, 170, if that's our base where we've bottomed out currently, and it breaks that downtrend, it reclaims the structure, that opens a credible path towards a strong recovery and potentially a run towards prior highs in 2026. Can we have all-time highs in 2026? Yes. Can we have $10 XRP in 2026? Yes. Can we be in a crypto winter for half of 2026? Yes, we can. Prepare for all scenarios. I'm not here to predict outcomes. I'm here to be prepared for all scenarios, and I want you, the readers of the newsletter, the watchers on YouTube, to be prepared for all scenarios. That's how you win. So that's the chart out the way. There you go. You got my chart. You understand. If you haven't voted in the newsletter, go and do that. Let me just give you the link to the poll. Go and do Go and vote in the newsletter. I think you've only got until a few more hours to vote. We always do this on a Sunday. We close the votes the day after. We then analyze the data on if you're feeling bullish or bearish, and then we put that into a trend in the future to see if you're right and what conclusions we can draw by your sentiment. So please do go and vote in that. Are you feeling bullish or bearish on XRP this week? Bullish, bearish, do vote. Also, in the comment section, I'm just giving you the link to the article. Go into that article. Anyone can do it's a free article, anyone can view it. Go into the comment section and vote. And you've got until tonight, I think, again, to go and put a prediction in the comment section on what XRP's price will be on Sunday. The winner will get a shout out in next week's newsletter. So that's the XRP weekly newsletter. Go and check it out. You can get that every Sunday. Now, the stories of 2025, I've picked out a few because, again, people are turning on XRP. People are annoyed about Ripple. They said we were promised $100 XRP, $1,000 XRP, but they forget what's actually happened to 2025. 2025 has been the best year for Ripple and XRP. Someone's just come in and said, the price is dropping. This is clickbait. I don't care about what's happening in the price today. If I cared about what was happening in the price every day, I would have lost my money in a week, because if you always care about the tiny little moves every single day, you lose sight of the bigger picture. The reason I'm making this video is not because I think XRP is going to explode tomorrow, or silver's going to explode, or silver's going to crash tomorrow. It's because you need to understand the link between them. You need to understand market sentiment. You need to understand what it is, what it means for the long term. And again, this is what I mean. People lose patience. People started listening to influencers that said $100 XRP, $1,000 XRP, and then they got the wrong end of the stick. That's not how markets move. If you make money fast, you lose it fast. So let's just go on to the top stories of sort of this year. We got the close of the forever war. The SEC versus Ripple. Who won? Who took on the US government and won? Ripple won. 5-year battle came to an end in August. A full end. Appeals dropped. Everything. Looking back at the year's most defining moments, nothing reshaped our world quite like the final resolution of the SEC versus Ripple saga in August. After a grueling 5-year marathon, both sides finally dropped their appeals, bringing the litigation to a permanent halt. Ripple walked away with a $125 million civil penalty for historical institutional sales, a figure that seems almost symbolic compared to the multi-billion-dollar threats once looming over the ecosystem. Most importantly, the court's 2023, and this is massive, the court's 2023 ruling that XRP is not a security on public exchanges stands as a law of the land, providing a level of certainty that remains the envy of the entire industry. Nobody has it. XRP has it. XRP, the law of the land, it's in the law. No one can change it. Well, you can over time, but I mean, if there was another lawsuit, but it's the law of the land. Laws can change, but the law of the land right now, and I'm 99% sure it will never change, is that XRP is not a security. No other coin has that. Bitcoin sort of has that, but not really. Not written in law like XRP is. So, this is the end of the Forever War. The end of the Forever War did more than just clear Ripple's balance sheet of legal fees. It removed the single biggest black swan risk for investors. For the first time since 2020, the US banks and institutions have been able to integrate XRP into their payment flows without fear of regulatory ambush. As Brad Garlinghouse noted when the news broke, the company has finally transitioned from fighting for its life to building the internet of value. That's what Ripple is. It's building the internet of value. This closure was a catalyst that allowed the US markets to reopen for XRP, setting the stage for massive institutional adoption and ETF filings we witnessed throughout the rest of 2025. This resolution transformed XRP from a legal gamble into the only digital asset with complete jurisdictional clarity in the US. This set the stage for XRP. It allowed the XRP ETFs to roll out. It actually helped the whole industry. Without these cases, we might not have got rid of Gary Gensler. We might not have had a pro crypto SEC. All these other ETFs that came out might not have come out if this case didn't come out. Coinbase might have still would have been sued. The whole industry would have been suffocated if Ripple didn't go to war with the SEC and come out on top. So it is massive news. You will always look back at the moment where Ripple beat the SEC. That happened in 2025. Massive. Wall Street arrived in 2025. Read about the stories in the XRP weekly newsletter. First link in the description. So if 2024 was the year of Bitcoin ETFs, 2025 will be remembered as the year Wall Street finally opened the gates for XRP. Again, people are impatient. People want to make money overnight. People were waiting for $100 XRP, which we kept saying it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. People were waiting for $10 XRP. We removed that prediction a good few months ago now. It wasn't going to happen. $1,000 XRP, just forget about that completely. For now, I mean, can XRP one day hit $1,000? Yes. Can silver one day hit $100,000? Maybe. I mean, forget about that. Stop thinking that's the case. Don't look at your portfolio and go, wow, if XRP hits $1,000 per coin, I'm going to be a billionaire. Just forget about it, because if you live in that world, it's just going to be like winning a lottery. You're going to make bad decisions. There's plenty of good scenarios. $10 XRP is amazing. $50 XRP is exceptional. $100 XRP is pretty possible, and that's just absolute. That would be like one of the best assets in the world, growth-wise. So there is a lot to look forward to that you don't have to go crazy for. $100 XRP in 10 years' time is incredible. In 5 years' time, it's possible. It's incredible. So don't start getting upset that XRP hasn't hit $100 in 3 months. Anyway, it really frustrates me because it makes people lose money when people make those terrible predictions. And it annoys me more that people are just going to continue to watch these people that have just lied to you the whole year. Anyway, let's get into. That's not what we do here. We tell you the facts. We don't have corporate sponsors. We don't want to take your money and do whatever with it. We care about our audience. We want to give you the best, most honest news. That's why we spend hours doing real research, not making things up. Let's get back into the ETFs. I'm going to come on to the silver and how this and the silver story, because I think they're very similar. As I said, Bitcoin's like digital gold. Gold is like Bitcoin. It's the largest one. Silver reacts on gold. However, silver has a lot of utility. XRP has a lot of utility, and I think utility will ultimately win. We've seen what it means for silver. It's absolutely broken all markets. We're going to come on to that story in a second. And I think XRP will be next, or potentially can be next. So 2024, year of the Bitcoin ETFs. 2025, the year of the XRP ETFs. Doesn't mean moon overnight. There could have been a scenario where we moved overnight if the sentiment remained in the Bitcoin space, if Bitcoin was continuing to make all-time highs, if Bitcoin went to 150,000, 200,000, if it sustained that bull run. XRP, no doubt in my mind, would have hit $10, especially with the ETF. If we had the ETF launch and Bitcoin went to 150, 200,000, XRP no doubt would have hit $10. But we didn't have that momentum continue. These ETFs, as I said, the day they launched, as I said, 3 months before they launched, as I said, a year after they launched, as I said, 1 month after they launched, these ETFs, it's not all about the short term. We could have had a short-term spike if everything aligned. But these ETFs are important because it allows institutions to get involved. It allows pension funds to get involved. It allows individuals to buy XRP easier. So essentially, when we're in a bear market and deep in a bear market, more people can be accumulating at lower prices. When we're in a bull market, it gives more opportunity for people to accumulate it. It removes the supply. And we're coming over to silver here. The supply is going to get lower and lower. The inflows on the XRP ETF are incredible. I don't think we have 1 day of outflows yet on the XRP ETF. So these ETFs could be a short-term catalyst towards the upside, but unfortunately the sentiment wasn't there, and sentiment is half the story in the crypto space. But half the other story is ETFs have all the other benefits I just mentioned. So it's not a short-term thing; it can be a very long-term thing, and the game has changed forever after these ETFs came out. So, following the SEC retreat in August, the regulatory path cleared for a wave of institutional products that once seemed impossible. Canary Capital spot XRP ETF made history in November, debuting on NASDAQ. And remember this. History made again. $58 million in day one trading volume. That is the most successful ETF launch of the year amongst over 900 new products. We're not talking crypto here. We're talking about every single ETF that launched this year. What came out number one? XRP. The XRP ETF had the largest volume, the largest interest out of 900 ETFs. That means a lot. If you haven't hit the like button yet, please do hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. Do go and check out the newsletter. You get all these perks and benefits. The daily newsletter, the XRP weekly, the cheat sheets before major events like FOMC and CPI. I always cover the XRP chart because it's my favorite token, but we do cover all other aspects as well. You get the one-on-one DM. You can message me anytime and I reply to you. Obviously, if I'm sleeping, I'll reply to you in the morning. We have that chart training course coming to you very soon, as well as my portfolio, which will be launching soon. Again, I'm not doing signals like other people. I don't want you guys to follow me. I want you guys to understand why and when I'm buying things so you can understand what's my thought process more of as a journal. But that's coming soon as well. So go check out the newsletter. First link in the description. So it's also in the live chat. There is a free version. There's a monthly plan and an annual plan. This gives you a 1 week free trial of the premium plan. So go and check it out. So that's the ETF launch. The wave of Boomer Capital has done more than just boost volume. It's fundamentally changing XRP's liquidity profile. Unlike retail speculators who move in and out of positions, ETF issuers must hold the underlying asset, effectively sequestering millions of XRP from circulating supply. By December, nearly 0.8% of the total supply was already locked in ETF custody. While the spot price has faced some year-end turbulence, trading near $1.90, the consistent streak of 20 consecutive days of inflows suggests that institutions are buying the dip. This isn't just a retail hype anymore, it's the beginning of long-term accumulation phase by global asset managers. Amazing story. I don't know why people make up XRP and Ripple stories for clicks. I mean, these stories are good enough. It's just because everyone wants more and bigger and better and they want the next big thing and they just make up stories. The stories themselves are big enough not to need to make up stories. Here's, and I couldn't fit them all in the newsletter. Here's another one. From payments to powerhouse, Ripple's merger and acquisition. This is the last one, and then we'll come on to silver and link them together. If you have just tuned in, please hit that like button. A big one, payments to powerhouses, Ripple's merger and acquisition spree. So 2025 was the year Ripple stopped being just a payments company and started looking more like a digital age Goldman Sachs. They want to be the internet of value. They're not just a payments company anymore. They are branching out. But the one thing I love is Brad Garlinghouse continues to always say XRP is at the core of our business. The XRP ledger is at the core of our business. So this isn't them just abandoning XRP. They're bringing XRP into the core of everything they do. We covered the Ripple Swell event for 16 hours. Unlike other people that just want to make up stories, we actually covered the major events. We covered it 2 9-hour days. And it was very clear to see every single person from Ripple, they kept circling back to XRP. They kept circling back to XRP Ledger, and that's the blockchain they want to use and develop. Anyway, through a massive, they stopped being a payments company. Through a massive 2.5 billion acquisition binge, the firm snapped up key pieces of the financial planning. The April purchase of Hidden Row, that was massive. 1.25 billion gave them a prime brokerage arm, while the $1 billion acquisition of G Treasury in October moved them directly into corporate cash management. The expansion was capped off by $500 million funding round from heavy hitters like Citadel and Fortress, which valued Ripple at a staggering $40 billion. That's the second biggest crypto company after Coinbase, maybe. It's a clear signal that the company is moving vertically, controlling every step of institutional capital flow. They don't need to IPO. I'd love them to IPO, but they don't need to IPO because they've got enough money. So that's actually stronger than any crypto company out there. The strategy here is brilliant but subtle. By owning the treasury management and brokerage tools that banks are already using, Ripple is effectively banking its technology into existing financial system. Ripple is effectively baking its technology into existing financial system. Even if a bank isn't ready to hold XRP on its own balance sheet, it may soon find itself using Ripple-owned software to manage its daily liquidity. This inorganic growth suggests a future where XRP Ledger serves as the underlying rail for a vast suite of traditional financial services, and it's already happening. We've got clear evidence that the Bank of America is using the XRP Ledger. So yeah, it's already happening. It reduces ripples, and in Japan, I would say about 50% of the banks are using Ripple's technology. They might not be using XRP, but they're using Ripple's technology. It reduces Ripple's reliance on pure payment volume and creates a diversified ecosystem where XRP's utility is woven into the very fabric of institutional finance. And remember, one step is to get them to use crypto technology. The next step is to get them to use XRP, the token. And obviously, once they start trusting Ripple's technology and start using it, the next logical step is to use the liquidity provided by XRP. These acquisitions suggest Ripple is building a moat that goes far beyond code. By owning the platforms that institutions use daily, they're making their ecosystem and XRP virtually impossible to ignore. And that's where the link comes. So there's a lot more in that XRP weekly newsletter. You can't ignore it anymore. It's becoming harder and harder to ignore XRP. People ignored silver, and look what happened with silver. So today in our daily newsletter, our one big thing is this: XRP is successfully mirroring silver's industrial utility by evolving into a mandatory structural layer for global financial supply chain. While silver's massive 174% rally was driven by inelastic physical demand, XRP is building a parallel foundation through on-demand liquidity, processing $15 billion annually. The 2026 launch of the RLUSD stablecoin and the arrival of spot ETFs serve as primary catalysts to flip institutional participation from optional efficiency to banking requirement. Recent data showing a 45% decline in exchange holdings confirms that large-scale investors are shifting into high-conviction accumulation phase. This transition positions XRP to achieve a commodity-like price floor backed by genuine network utilization rather than simple market sentiment. Investors should view this as the moment utility-driven demand finally begins to mirror physical supply constraints. There is not enough silver. There is not enough XRP. The supply has been bought up for silver. There are now massive premiums. It's breaking. Silver is breaking the market. I think XRP is on track to do the same thing. Let's look at the silver story. There is a $14 premium that has emerged between Shanghai physical silver and the COMEX paper contracts. This fracture indicates that traditional arbitrage machines have failed, as physical markets price in actual scarcity while paper markets rely on legacy supply assumptions. XRP can break the market too. Go check out the rest of this newsletter. I'm going to skip to the silver story, which is here. The silver market is currently navigating a period of unprecedented structural transformation. We've been so bullish on silver for so long. $20, $30. This year at $35. We said the breakout. And it's, what is it now? $80, $75. There's a lot of volatility in silver's price today, which is as expected. It opened up at $83. Now it's down 10% from that peak, but it's still higher than it was last week. So you can see a lot of people might just comment and say silver's down to 5%. Yeah, we predicted silver would get to $75 when it was at $20. It might be down 10% one day, but I am still bullish on silver. Anyway, so the silver market is currently navigating a period of unprecedented structural transformation, moving away from a decade of speculative-driven volatility towards reality defined by physical scarcity. I think XRP is the same. We've had a decade of speculation, some investors coming in. Now is where we might get scarce with XRP's demand. Why? Well, mainly because of the ETF. Secondly, obviously, because of the adoption. At the center of the shift is China's decision to implement a mandatory export licensing system effective January 1st, 2026. This policy change, combined with 5 consecutive years of structural supply deficits, has fractured the global pricing mechanism. Market participants are observing a widening gap between paper contracts on the COMEX and physical metal in Shanghai and Dubai, suggesting that the traditional arbitrage market machinery has broken down. While tactical pressures like tax selling and margin hikes may trigger short-term volatility, which is what we're seeing right now, the long-term narrative is increasingly dominated by inelastic industrial demand from the solar and AI sectors where technical substitution remains a distant prospect. Um, the utility for silver, incredible. Maybe it'll change in 4 or 5 years because they might find a substitute like copper. But the demand right now, the supply cannot keep up. Let's focus on silver and we'll tie it back in with XRP in a second. So, the strategic resource nationalism, the January the 1st mandate. In just 3 days, the landscape of global silver supply will undergo a fundamental shift. China, who controls 60 to 70% of globally traded refined silver, is moving to restrict export flow to large state approved firms. By requiring 30 million in credit lines and 80 tons of annual production for licensing, the Chinese government is effectively excluding the small and mid-sized traders who have historically facilitated physical liquidity. Sophisticated investors view this not as a routine regulation, but as a strategic resource nationalism. When China executed similar playbooks, we've seen this before with rare earth elements, the result was a decade of elevated pricing and supply constraints. Remember lithium, remember the rare earths, remember how Trump had to solve that 10 years later last year. Still not fully solved, but we're seeing the same now happen with silver. The result was decades of elevated pricing and supply constraints. The market is currently pricing in a chokehold effect where the immediate availability of refined silver in Western markets could be severely curtailed as the new year begins. So China is stopping. This I'm just reading some comments. That's not guaranteed that other projects they could do better and faster than XRP. Yeah, I mean, yes, there can be a system that comes in that's better. So we just got a comment saying it's not guaranteed that XRP is going to change the world. I would say XRP has a major advantage from being there first, from the development, but also the backing of Ripple, which you can argue is probably the biggest crypto company out there. So I just wanted to address that comment. Yes, there is a risk that XRP is not going to be the token that solves it all, but I think it will have a place, and I think it will be successful. Ripple and XRP the token as well. So China export restrictions, they're controlling the supply. The supply is controlled, the supply is diminishing. XRP, the supply on exchanges is dropping, whales are accumulating ETFs inflows. There's not been a single day of outflows. Now, here's the arbitrage fracture. You would say, why is there differences? Well, there's massive differences right now. A primary indicator of market stress, silver is they can't stop it. That's why the title of the video is They Cannot Stop Silver. A primary indicator of market stress is the emergence of three distinct pricing tiers for the same asset. As of late December 2025, a massive divergence has appeared. COMEX futures are suggesting that that silver's price is $76 to $77. That's what we look at on the charts. But when you look at the physical price, different. Shanghai physical silver is $85 an ounce. Dubai, London physical silver, we're looking at $91 to $100 plus an ounce right now. Under normal conditions, traders would solve this issue with arbitrage. This happens all over the world, but they can't. So under normal conditions, traders would buy cheap silver on the COMEX and sell it to Shanghai, pocketing the difference until the price aligns. It's called arbitrage. It happens every day within all the markets. It keeps everything in check, but it's not working. The persistence of an 11 to 20% premium in Shanghai and Dubai indicates that physical silver cannot flow freely between the regions. This factor suggests that the paper markets are trading based on legacy supply assumptions, while physical markets are pricing in actual scarcity. The paper markets are just paper. There's not enough silver to execute every trade. If everyone wanted to execute their paper trades, there would be no silver, and silver's price would be $1,000 tomorrow. That's not going to happen, but still, there is having a major issue. The paper markets cannot keep up. The physical markets are pricing in how scarce silver is right now. The industrial floor, inelastic demand, and the AI layer. The bear case for silver, and this is fair enough, just like with XRP, there might be something down the line which is better and more adopted. I think XRP has a very good advantage because the code can be adapted and changed and used. With silver, it's baked into it from 2,000 years ago. But this is the bear case for silver. The bear case for silver, if you're looking at the utility side of it, rests on the potential for copper substitution in solar panels. Silver right now, the main use, I would say maybe 40% of the use of silver that's being mined is for solar panels right now. Solar panels aren't going anywhere. Even if you're President Donald Trump and you think solar's terrible, it makes logical sense that people are going to continue using solar, and solar is just growing exponentially. Silver is needed for solar. However, the research reveals a massive disconnect between theoretical substitution and manufacturing reality. Yes, copper can be a substitute with technological advancements, but right now it can't. While solar manufacturers have seen profits compress by 50% as silver rose from $28 to $79, they have not cut consumptions. Their margins are reducing, but they don't have a choice. They're still buying as much silver as ever. In fact, the industry is moving towards higher silver technologies like TOPCon and HGJT, which increases silver intensity from 13.5 megawatts micrograms per watt to 15.2 micrograms per watt. So, in fact, with the new technologies, silver is needed more in their new technologies, plus more solar panels are being produced. For now, anyway. Adding to this flaw is a rapid expansion of AI data centers. Remember how I said when I do my portfolio, I'm going to be looking at the behind the scenes of AI, not just what are the best AI companies, it's what's needed for AI. Silver is one of them. So adding to this flaw is a rapid expansion of AI data centers. Goldman Sachs forecasts a 165% increase in data center electricity demand by 2030, a sector where silver is essential for switchgear and thermal interfaces. This creates a scenario where industrial users are forced to pay higher prices because of the cost of silver, while rising is still a secondary concern compared to the total cost of system failure or production delays. So that is not a problem, at least for now, for solar panels. It will take them another 5 years to try and figure out copper and how to use it. And if they do, there's still plenty of use cases for silver. So right now, the issue is still there. And I think that still can propel us to $100 $100 silver. We still hit our first target, $75 per ounce of silver. That was our first take profit level. Next one's 100. One after that's 125. How high do we go? Who knows? I'm prepared for all scenarios. But very, very similar situations with silver and XRP. Now, let's finish off the silver story and then I'll give you my final thoughts. The most critical mechanism currently at play is the extreme backwardation in the London market, which now extends out to July 2028. In a healthy market, future prices are higher than spot prices to account for storage and insurance, a condition known as contango. Backwardation occurs when the spot price, so the price we look at on the chart, what's it now? $75. That's the price we look at on the chart, 75.65. So the backwardation occurs when the spot price is actually higher than the futures price. Oh, sorry, the spot price. The spot price is higher than the future price, signaling that the market participants are willing to pay a premium for immediate delivery rather than waiting for. Excuse me. So this is the futures price. This is the price you see on a chart, $75. The spot price is if you go on to a silver website to buy silver. For example, we go over to the Royal Mint, and we go over to the Royal Mint, and I wonder if I can bring that up for you guys. I'll bring it up later. We go on the Royal Mint, and actually, it's $90, probably closer to $100 to buy an ounce of silver right now. And that's called backwardation, even excluding VAT here in the UK. So this inversion is not a temporary anomaly. It is a signal of structural exhaustion. When the backwardation lasts for years, and it's got worse, but it has lasted for years, it implies the market does not believe supply will catch up with demand at current prices. Furthermore, the physics of manufacturing prevents a quick fix. We can't just go out and manufacture more. We can't. Silver is a byproduct. If you understand the mining side of things, silver is not mined for. You go and mine other things, mainly gold, and as a byproduct, you get silver. No one in the world is just going after silver. Doesn't make sense. It's a byproduct. You mine other things, you get silver as a byproduct, and then um, you refine the byproduct and you get silver. So we can't just go ahead and just go and mine more silver. We can go and mine more, which is what companies are trying to do. But again, you can't just go and mine tomorrow. It takes years for regulations. It takes years to get approval, and it takes years for the projects to start. So to just go and mine more, yes, they will do it, but it will take time. So we can't just print supply overnight. So even if every solar plant converts to copper today back to solar, the conversion of 300 global factories would take a minimum of 4 years. So even if we have mining, we can't mine for more very quickly. Everyone concerned about copper, well, 300 factories have to move over to copper. That will take at least 4 years at the quickest. And the market machinery is essentially locked into a high tension state where price is the only variable left to move. Price has to adjust, supply and demand. What you have to watch going forward is the Shanghai premium threshold. If the $8 to $14 premium persists beyond February of 2026, because obviously it's starting in January, is it going to slow down or is it going to continue? We'll look at February 2026. That will confirm that China's export restrictions have created a permanent supply silo. This will likely force a violent upward repricing of Western paper markets to match physical reality. So is this just a sudden price up because in 3 days' time we're not going to get any supply from China? Or actually, is that going to die down and that's going to be fine? Or actually, are we going to be in February of 2026 and realize we still have those premiums and then we jump even higher for silver and go to $100 an ounce? Who knows? Prepare for all scenarios. CME inventory levels, keep an eye on the $20 million ounce level. They need to keep physical silver behind the scenes. If the inventory falls below 20 million ounces, then the lease rate will spike, liquidations will occur, and we'll continue with the short squeeze and keep an eye on the London forward curve. So, XRP and silver, in my opinion, I'm looking at the same thing. People are willing to pay more for delivery of silver now rather than later. There is not enough silver supply. There is not enough XRP supply. The exchanges are running out of XRP. The whales are accumulating. ETFs have been launched, and they're changing the game. It's not, and it's in the back of my mind all the time. People think about $100 XRP, $1,000 XRP. ETFs are going to make you rich overnight. That's not how it works. The ETFs have had constant days of inflows. Some of you might think that means XRP needs to go to the moon. In time, if the inflows continue and institutions keep getting involved and banks start using XRP's supply will diminish, just like silver's supply will diminish and it'll break. So if you understand why silver is breaking, you will understand what XRP is building. This isn't about timing the next candle. It's about recognizing when the game itself is changing. I think the game is changing. I think XRP has room to run. It can be in 2026. We can hit $10 in 2026. We might not. I'm prepared to hit $10, but also I'm going to take advantage if we drop. I'm not going to buy every 5% dip, but I've got my levels going to buy. As always, nothing I say is financial advice. There'll be 2 videos to watch up there. Please leave me your comments in the comment section down below. But until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Okay, I'm going to come over to the comment section, and then we've got 5 minutes before Martyn goes live. What did you guys think about the story? Silver is absolutely crazy. I think they're very similar, XRP and silver. Just the way I've seen things evolve with how we identified XRP at 30 cents, how we identified silver at 25 cents, how Bitcoin is like gold, and how silver's like XRP as an altcoin. Let me go to your comments. Let's see who was here first. We had MDL here. Thank you for tuning in. Please do participate in the poll. If you haven't checked out the newsletter yet, there is the link. It's also the first link in the description. Thanks for the email, Sensei. No worries, human being Liz. Yeah, the XRP Weekly came out yesterday and the daily newsletter came out today. I'm just going to bring your attention to this as well. It might be the last day we will have this available. It's the 2025 Christmas mug. Oh, I've lost it. Where did it go? 1 second. I'm going to give you the link in the live chat as well. It's martynlucasshop.com. Let me just click on the link myself. Why is that not working? Okay, let me come back to the comments. This might be the last day we have these mugs available. What is going on? Oh, okay, sorry, I don't have that available right now. 1 second. Okay. I think the mugs have all run out, so I'll keep you updated on that later. Let me just go to your comment section. Thanks for the email, Sensei. No worries. I see gold acting like its weight should start consolidating for the next event and even more up. Thank you, Bitcoin's Craig. MW says, hello from Norway. Can you look at Midnight Coin? Isn't Midnight Coin the one that we exposed in last week's XRP Weekly? Not the coin itself, but people were trying to pump it up. Let me have a look. Midnight Coin. Big symbol night. Yeah, this one. Look at this. That's interesting. You've said that. I'm more. I haven't looked into it, but this was something we debunked. Someone was shilling it on X last week, and we covered it in the XRP Weekly under our debunked. Night is the 4th most traded cryptocurrency in the world today, but that was wrong. It's the 4th most traded cryptocurrency with volume exceeding XRP and Solana combined is false. It was a fabricated screenshot. That it was driving FOMO. I'm always worried about tokens that try and there's people trying to hype it up. I don't know much about Midnight the token, but I was a bit worried about it when I saw that story. So please be careful. Smash the likes and subscribe. Silver Days XRP, I love it. Yes, smash the like button and subscribe. We are 4 minutes away from going into Martyn's show. Next up in line, XRP. Bitcoin's Craig. Forget XRP going out of the $1 to $3 range until 2120, says Bitcoin's Craig. I don't think so. Silver and XRP for life. Yes, I love them both. What do you think about the 589 number of lights for 2026 New Year's party? I think it's all fake, and I don't think there's anything to hold up the $589 claim. It's just people wanting clicks. 589 means something. I don't think so. I've got, and even if it does, I absolutely don't believe it for a second, but let's say even if it does, you need to be prepared for all scenarios. My thesis doesn't change. I've got loads of silver bars, 100 grams. It went to cash some in before Xmas. Ramsden's offered me 70 pence a gram and 70 pence a gram and 23 an ounce. Just walked out. Don't understand why they're paying low prices. Oh God, Stu, thank God he walked out. No, it's much, I don't know who Ramsden's is. I mean, even like Bullion by Post or some of these ones that are still quite outrageous online, they will give you much more than that. Please hit the like button. Too much XRP hype. I'm not trusting it. If you're selling your silver for that price, Stu, I don't mind buying it. I dumped XRP completely when I realized how much I lost by tying up my money in that asset. Yeah, I apologize for other creators. We try and keep it realistic here. We don't make stories up. Okay, I'm going to end the stream in 1 minute to go over to Martyn. I reinvested in, let me close the poll actually so we can answer that as well. I reinvested in an asset called SVRS. Hopefully tomorrow I can answer a lot more of your questions. I just wanted to put that story out because that was brewing over the Christmas. Krell Andoros says, knowing how boring my mornings are since you've been gone, super boring. Oh no, well we're back. I really appreciate that. How was everyone's morning without us? I hope everyone had a great Christmas. I mean, it was time to spend with the family. I did miss you all though. That's for sure. I did miss the daily shows. You're buying thin air. What does that mean? What I learnt the hard way is buy now, sell at 350, wait 3 months and do it again, says Marcus. What has silver got anything to do with XRP? We explained it in this video. Anointed Flower says, good morning, everyone. Human Being says, hi, Anointed Flowers. Anointed Flower says, they can't stop XRP, no resistance, all vertical. Anointed, I'm just going to answer members' questions for now because we're about to end the show. Samuel says, good morning, everyone. Anointed Flower says, yes, indeed, blessed. What else do we have? I'm just answering members because we're about to end the show. Samuel Redner says, market is really red this morning. Market is really red this morning. Are we moving red now? Yeah, the S&P 500 is down 0.25%. Yeah, I'm not too bullish on the market right now. I think there's going to be a lot of tax selling. Markets looks like it's to harvest silver out of electronic components I have. Samuel Redner. It's about, what is it, £1.50 a gram, something like that, or a bit higher. A plus. Thank you, Sensei, for my Christmas mug. Of course, Brian, been buying. Oh yeah, you won the thing. Brian says, been buying gold and silver now for some time. I'm up nicely, both types. Go lots of physical gold and silver. Congratulations, Brian. 589 means clickbait, says Brian. Yes, it does. Martyn is live now. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. There is the show. It's going to automatically take you there. But until next time, I'm so glad to be back. See you tomorrow. You might see the video that we made earlier all about silver and XRP come out later. Please do make sure you hit the like button and subscribe when you see that come out. Go check out the newsletter. Martyn's live right now. There'll be 2 videos up here maybe. But until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye-bye.